Delegating your work and getting the exact outcome you wish to achieve from your team is no rocket science, but still most of us fails to do it effectively. In this video, I have simplified the art of delegation for you to understand what can be done better next time while you are delegating work to your team. Hi, I'm CA Piyush Bansal. I help entrepreneurs optimize their business and life. Let's jump into the concept. The concept will be distributed into 5 separate concepts. Each concepts are key elements that needs to be considered while delegating. So the first concept is clarity of why. You need to have clarity of why you are delegating what you're delegating to. And ideally, the 2 reasons that I can think of while you're delegating should be either to reduce your maintenance activities, all those activities that take up your time which are required to run your business but are not that important, that needs to be delegated or outsourced. Similarly, you could also delegate few of the work in order to create consistent actions across the business functions. And to do so, you need to delegate work to your teammates. And there's one thing that you should not be doing, and that is solving a problem by delegating. If there is a problem in the system which needs to be taken care of, it is of course important that you do not delegate to solve that problem. It is required that you first identify what could be the simple process solution to do that, and then only then you delegate it. Otherwise, you'll amplify the problem to many folds. So it's very important that you stop delegating where there's a problem area and you don't know the solution of. Having said that, the second concept that I want to talk about is clarity of roles. While delegating, you need to have clear specifications of what are the roles and responsibility that person would be handling. When you clearly define what is the roles and the responsibility, it becomes much more better for them to deliver in that context. And most importantly, you are not delegating a task, you are delegating them a responsibility. And for them to take it seriously, you need to clearly communicate them what are those roles and responsibilities. Now, few of the examples of these roles and responsibility could be like, for example, lead generation, customer acquisition, accounting, customer service, production, distribution, or logistic management. Given the area, you can select couple of responsibilities that needs to be taken care of by that person and what needs to be delivered. Once you clearly communicate what is the roles that needs to be delivered, then the most important part comes is the outcome. You need to clearly communicate what are the outcomes that you expect from them. Say, for example, in a lead generation role, you need to clearly define what is the number of new leads you are expecting, or what is the cost per lead that you are expecting from them. Similarly, if you are outsourcing or delegating accounting activity, then you need to clearly define in what days, number of days, the respective bank entries and bills needs to be recorded into the accounting software. And accordingly, if you are working on customer service, then you need to clearly spell out what is the number of days the query should get resolved, and also by number of percentage the customer queries should get reduced. Having given a clear outcome that can be measured and can be tracked gives a sense of awareness and empowerment to the respective person to deliver. Because once they know what is their responsibility and once they know what is the outcome they are expected of, then they'll do best to achieve that. Usually when there is lack of clarity of outcome, that is where most of the entrepreneurs makes the huge mistakes, because they expect people to deliver, not telling them what is it that they have to actually deliver. Going forward, the fourth concept that I want to talk about is clarity of process. It is of utmost importance that once you know what is the outcome that you want to get delivered, you tell them what is the input and the methodology that needs to be used for delivering that output. It needs to be very simplified and standardized so that it could be done repeatedly, consistently, with the same level of output that is required. And for that, at the input level, you will have to give data, information, documents or raw materials to get those things done, to make sure that their responsibilities have been taken care of them and they are delivering the output that is expected of them. In the similar method, you need to clearly communicate them what would be the process that they will be using to do that, or what are the tools and technology that they will be using to deliver the output that is expected from them. And where required, you will have to also train them to use those tools and technologies so that they be able to fully efficiently use this technology to the use and get the best outcome out of it. Once you are able to deliver, clearly communicate what would be the responsibility, what would be the outcome and what would be the process, the delegation is half won. That's the core part of it. But the second important part of delegation is choosing the right person for the right job at the right time. And for that to happen, you'll have to see for the different parameters to evaluate whether this person whom you are delegating has the right skills, knowledge, self-image and traits. The more deeper level of criteria you will be looking for, the more better person you will be able to find. In order to simplify this different criteria of skills, knowledge, self-image and traits, there is a list of collective skills, knowledge that you can use for your reference while delegating some work. And I can over here give you certain examples of how it looks like. So skills are those practical applications that can be delivered, like for example, prioritization, decision making, delegation. These are those practical applications which is performed in order to get certain results. Knowledge is a information or a knowledge, as it says, it's the information that helps you communicate to perform certain activities. Like for example, good grammar helps communication. Having to know of MS Office could be useful for using Excel presentation, Word documents in the respective manners. Having good knowledge of the market could be one. Having good knowledge of the customer could be another. So similarly, this is how skills are more practical oriented, knowledge are more information oriented. Then comes the fourth part, which is the self-image of it. And for the self-image, these are more of like the way someone sees himself or herself in such structure. Like for example, some person could be result focused, confident, team player, empathetic, leaders. So all those people with the required level of self-rate for that specific roles and responsibility need to be identified. And lastly comes the traits. Traits are most like a characteristic traits, a behavioral pattern that people follow. Some of the example of traits could be dynamic, flexible, effective. So these are certain parameters that needs to be understood while selecting and evaluating the right person for the right job. And for this to happen, you need to clearly define in a list, in a document, wherever you use, where you define what are the roles and responsibilities, what are the outcomes you expect from that, what are the process they'll be following, and what is the right level of skills, knowledge, self-image and traits that is required to perform those activities. And once you have that, and you have a person in mind sitting in front of you or while interviewing them, in whatever manner you are doing it, you will be able to make the right decisions of which employee you need to select for delegating that specific work. This can also be used for hiring in that context. So having said that, these are the 5 main criteria that you need to understand in terms of delegation. Now, if you are going through this, just write down what is this next element that you will be using while delegating the work in your delegation experience, so that you can create much more effective delegations and get the exact amount of outcome that you wish to achieve. Now we are preparing one video each week with the intent of optimizing business and life for the entrepreneurs. If you are someone who are liking such kind of video, you can subscribe to our newsletter now by clicking in the link on the description below, and you'll get one video each week directly to your mailbox, through which you can get also along with the free resources. Comment below in case of any queries. I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you.